You're listening to Unmuted with Papamutes.
Now, when you were going on these auditions early on, was it through an agent? And how about if you don't have an agent? Or do you have to have an agent? How do you get auditions if you're just so fresh no one knows you from Adam?
Well, as you know from reading my book, I spent most of my career without an agent in LA.
Hmm.
It wasn't until I moved to New Orleans that I was like, oh, I guess in a secondary market, you really do need at least one agent, maybe more. But yeah, in LA, I often didn't have an agent because the nature of the beast was that it just I realized at some point that people kept using agents as a conversation point for why they weren't working,
Mm,
but it wasn't, I don't know. I didn't want to empower the agent with why I am or am not working.
got it.
Yeah, they get 10% of the money because they only do 10% of the work. So where's my 90%? I got to be doing the 90%. I have to do the work.
Hmm.
Yes. And sometimes, in my case, almost all the time, it meant me getting the job and then giving the agent the money, even though they had not gotten me the job.
Really?
They still, though, would handle my paperwork, they'd handle my contracts, they'd handle my scheduling. So, that's 10% of the work. But
Understood.
they don't promise you a career. They're there to handle your affairs. They're there to, answer phones. They're there, there are very few agents who actually do proactive individual proactive work. They put you in a grouping, like they come, the casting comes into them and it says, looking for 50 women, 50s, any ethnicity. Okay. So that's me and every other woman in their agency that's anywhere over 40. And so, that's what they do. They send all of the pictures of all the women over 40 to this role for woman over 50,
Hmm.
any ethnicity. And that's what they do.
You pick your
So,
you pick your lottery ticket and hope you get in there.
well, so in LA, that wasn't enough. In LA, I had to be extremely proactive. But I'm whenever people ask me, I coach online now, through the COVID, I became a Zoomer.
Hmm.
And, whenever people ask me whether they're in Michigan or London or wherever they're Zooming in from, I always say, let's figure out how to grow where you're planted first and build your resume. And there are so many things you can do, even if you're in the middle of nowhere.
Right. You don't have to be in LA I mean, again, from the readings. Um, so a good agent, like a good doctor, is needed.
Well, I mean, I need my agent here because here there's no other connective tissue between me and the industry.
Right.
When I was in LA, what I needed most was a social life. I needed an active social life that had me networking nonstop with the job creators. I didn't worry about casting directors. I never met them. I would meet directly with agents. I mean, with producers and directors. So I didn't need an agent and I didn't need casting directors. I needed invites to parties and stuff.
Right. So, like you said, you never know who you're, even at any business, really, you never know who you're talking to at that moment. Um,
Oh yeah, no, you had to be very careful about that. And you don't want to. That's when you don't want to learn the hard way, and it's the way that almost everybody learns it is the hard way.
how big an influence is Richard Dreyfuss in your career?
Huge, just huge. Um, I met him in New York. He was doing a play, and I stayed afterward. I did this at about 75 plays where I would stay after and speak to the actors. And, I'd wait by the stage door and I'd wait for all the autograph people to leave. And then I would ask a question. And I always asked the same question. And then if that started a conversation, I'd ask lots of questions. Um, and he was the last actor I met before I left to move to LA.
Really?
And so that was the last stage door I waited at. And he was the last actor that I had that conversation with. And I told him, he had invited me to another talk that he was giving. and he needed to postpone it and reschedule it. And so I said, oh, well, then I won't be able to attend. I'm moving to LA, and I won't be here next week.
Mm-hmm.
And so he, we exchanged information. And about a year after I got to LA, we connected, and he had given me the name of what became my first acting studio in LA, a teacher. And I was by then in that school for already a year. And he had given me recommendations. And so when he saw that I had followed up on them and taken his advice, he saw that I was a worthy investment, and he made many more investments in me. And that was in 1992. So we are now 30 years into this friendship, and he has since written the foreword for my book.
Mm-hmm.
I directed him in a short film that I wrote and produced and directed. And we've worked together, I think, in 3 other movies. And even when I was doing Katrina relief work, he donated money for our truck, but more importantly, he came and spoke with the young people about activism and social responsibility and things like that in the midst of us figuring out the Katrina situation. So yeah, he's always been there for me, and I hope to always be there for him. And
so in 90, you said it was 92.
Yeah.
So he was, I mean, he's a big star. I mean, at that point,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
oh yeah, no, I'd watched him since I was a kid.
Right, exactly. Mega, I mean, off the chart. So, people have a public perception of actors, actresses, celebrities in general. Sounds like he's a nice guy. I mean, in reality,
who knows what everybody's experience is. I don't have any idea what your experience. I would tell you that for me, he's one of the most loyal, kind, caring people I know. And, so I have nothing negative to say.
No. I don't want, I mean, no, not looking for negative. I just thinking,
No, but
that's
there
a mega star,
Yeah, that is a true thing though, about being, when you meet your heroes, it can be disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
It can be hurtful. It can even for women, it can be dangerous. It's not always a good situation to meet the people you most admire.
Yeah.
But yeah, he and I have partnered on many things and been very helpful to each other. And he gave me so much of what was my early wisdom about how to handle this industry and acting in general as a craft.
Awesome. So I'm going to fast forward to a question. Not everybody in any business, job, wherever, are nice. There's some people that are, jackasses.
I did 6 movies with Harvey Weinstein. So
there you go. So
yeah.
How do you, and not even the sexual part, just like someone's just an ass, but you have to work with them. You're a young actor. You're nobody. There's somebody, and I don't need names or anything, but how does the young actor, actress stay focused on why you're there when someone's just a pompous ass?
I would hope the same way that you do if, one of the lights exploded on set, or if, there was a siren going by as you're giving your big monologue, or what you focus. It's your job to focus. It's part of your job. So, if the person is doing something illegal, if they are being, discriminatory or treating you differently because of your gender or your race or your religion or whatever, then now you have an app where you can at least record the incident, if not report them. You can at least record it in the app and save it for later if you choose to report them. But and nowadays you depending on what set you're on, you might be able to say, hey, I'm having trouble with this person. I would like to think that there are some sets where that would be okay, where you could say, I'm having trouble with this person.
Okay.
But I'm old school. I'm used to being taken advantage of. I'm used to, bad behavior. I'm used to all that stuff. And the bottom line is, do your job. Just do your job. You're not there for all that stuff. Just do your job.
Understood.